Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to do a demonstration, and this is going to be the second problem in our practice problems for Module 4. So if we look here for Module 4, we did the bearing design last time, which was a section view, and then now we're going to be looking at the angle base. So this is going to be Chapter 9 in our AutoCAD book, and it's going to be on page 935. So we're going to the end of the chapter and doing one of those problems instead of the tutorial in the book. So I'm going to go underneath my camera. So on page 935, okay, we're going to look at this angle base. All right. So the angle base here, as we look at it, you're going to notice that there is an inclined surface here. Okay. And it's got a hole going through it that's perpendicular to that surface. Okay. So without going through and generating all the views, we are going to need a auxiliary view because we're going to need to see this hole as its true size and shape. And again, we're not going to be dimensioning here, but anticipating that, like I said earlier, one of the rules of dimensioning is I can only dimension to a feature that is number one, object lines, and I can see it, and I can see the edges, and that it's the true size and shape. So where I see a hole, I have to dimension in the view that it is circular, a round circle. So to do that, I'm going to have to look at a different angle other than my principal views. Now, I do have a drawing guide here for this. So I'm going to zoom out here a little bit, and we're going to look at what that drawing guide looks like. Now, I'm going to kind of put my hand over the top of our auxiliary view, because if we would just use our principal views, front, top, and right side, nobody should be clicking right now. I need your attention. And the right side here, you're going to notice that that hole is never seen as a circle, a true circle. So we can't dimension to it. And again, that's not a rule that we know just yet, but we don't see it as its true size and shape. The only way we can do that is to look straight down on it, okay? So we need to create this auxiliary view. And that's what we're going to be going through in our demonstration of the second problem in our practice problems. Okay. Here you'll notice that we see the circle now as a true circle. We're looking perpendicular or straight down so that now we can, dimension it. Okay. So, so that's going to be our goal. We're going to be creating all three of these views, and then we're going to be creating our auxiliary view after. So, and you'll also notice that we do show the hidden line in here. And again, it's just one hidden line, so it really doesn't hurt much, but it does, again, add, I think, a little bit of clarity, and it finishes up the view for us. So, so I'm going to go back underneath my camera here, and we are going to kind of zoom in so we can see all of our dimensions. So these dimensions are in inches, okay? And what we're going to do is I'm going to start with my front view. So my front view, you'll notice that I have a 3-inch view or a 3-inch dimension this way, 3-inch dimension this way, but I believe looking in this direction, the front view kind of gives me the major shape of the part, okay? So we see the two inclines on either side, we see the height of the part, and this is a 3-inch dimension. So it's one of the longest dimensions that are on the part. So this is going to be our front view, and that is where we're going to start our drawing. Okay, then we're going to do our top and then our right side, and then we will do our auxiliary view last. Okay, so I'm going to go over to AutoCAD. I have opened up AutoCAD, and I have activated my WCTC inch template. I am going to go down here. I do have my line widths available, but they're not on, so I'm going to toggle mine on. And then what we're going to do is we're simply going to create the perimeter of this part. Okay. So you could use construction lines, but I think we can get pretty far with just our regular lines. So totally, I mean, this is going to be just the approach I do, but you can do it differently if you want to. Now, in this particular case, there isn't any reason to go to the 0, 0. So I'm just going to randomly start this kind of in the lower left-hand, section of my screen. So I just left clicked, and I'm going to go to the right, and my width of my part is going to be 3 inches. And then I'm going to go up, and I'm going to actually draw the line, because I'm going to go up to how high this is. And this is 1 inch right here. So this is going to be one edge that I see. It's going to be 1 inch up. Okay. So I'm going to go up 1 inch. And then I'm going to continue up, okay? I'm going to take my ortho off. So we know that this is going to go up and to the left at 45 degrees, right? Actually, I'm rethinking this. Instead of rotating that line, you know what we're going to do? We're going to go down here and we're going to turn on our polar tracking, okay? It's to the right of our ortho mode. If we click on our polar tracking, and then you're going to notice there's a little down arrow right next to it, okay? Go on that down arrow and make sure that you have clicked, it may be the default, the second one down where it says 45, 90, 135, and so on. What this does is, what it's going to do is we're going to see those like tracking lines snap to every 45 degrees. It's going to be helpful. So I have that set. I'm going to go back over here. And now you're going to notice that when I go vertical, all of a sudden I get those green tracking lines. It kind of snaps to that. Then if I move, and it's going to snap again when it's 45, okay? So this is the angle that I want to be at because that's a 45-degree angle to vertical and horizontal. So I'm simply going to extend this a random length, okay? Longer than 2 inches, you know, so this is going to be there. Now that it's snapped to 45, I'm simply going to click and then hit escape, okay? So that's kind of my right-hand side there, okay? Now I'm going to come up and I'm going to go back to where I started, okay? I'm going to go line here, and I'm going to go straight up again, all right? And I'm going to go up, I don't know, I'm going to go 2.5 inches just for a length, okay? A random length. There's not a dimension on there like that. Just going to hit escape. So what I've done, I'm just going to go back underneath here. I've created this line going up, but kind of going further. And now I've created this line going up here. So I need to get in this 45-degree angle. But to do that, I need the top, okay? So if I look here, you'll notice that I have a 1/2 inch foot at the bottom, and then I have another 2 inches going up, okay? So my total height from the bottom all the way to the top is 2.5 inches, right? We're going to use the offset command, okay? So I'm going to go back to AutoCAD over here. I'm going to do my offset command, okay, which is 2 underneath my eraser. I'm going to put my distance in. It's asking me for my distance. It's 2.5, enter. Now I'm going to select what I want to offset, which is the bottom, and I'm going to go up. Oh my goodness, 2.5. I picked the right number. That was not a plan, okay? Not at all, but we're going to trim it off anyway. Okay, so now that's the top of my part, okay? That's the top of my part. Now what you're going to notice is that if I go back underneath, the distance over to this point right here is 1 inch in, okay? So all I'm going to do is I'm going to offset this vertical line that I have 1 inch in, and that's going to be where my 45 degrees is going to start. So I'm going to go back underneath, and I'm going to hit that offset again. And this time my distance is going to be 1 inch, and I'm going to offset into my part, okay? Now this line up here, okay, I'm going to leave that in as horizontal, and I'm going to trim away what I have here just to kind of get some of these items away. So I'm going to trim away this extension, this extension, and I can trim away this one on that side, okay? Now what I want to do is with this line that I have right here, okay, I'm going to rotate that so it's 45 degrees and it's going to come in this direction. So I'm going to go up to the rotate command, okay? Because I have this line here already. I'm going to rotate this line. And those are I can keep selecting if I want to rotate more. I'm going to hit enter. And now my base point for the rotation is going to be this intersection or end point right up here, okay? And now I have the freedom to rotate around, okay? I'm going to turn my polar off. And what I want to do now is it wants me to specify the angle. So if this was here, if this is my 0, I'm going to rotate in a clockwise direction. That's negative, if you recall. The direction of rotation is negative. And I simply want to go a negative 45 degrees. Okay, enter. All right. And now what you'll see is that it overlapped over here, and that creates that edge right there. Okay, so now we can trim away the parts that extend beyond. So I'm going to do my trim, trim, and trim. Okay. So now I have the outline of that part. Okay. I have the outline of that part. I am going to add one more line for the base, or I'm going to call it the feet. And you're going to notice that this foot right here is a 1/2 inch. It's dimensioned over on this side, but it's the same distance up. So we're simply going to offset again a distance of 0.5, the bottom up, okay? Now, this is as far as I wanted to go with this, okay? This is as far, because we'll be using our auxiliary view to bring the other lines back in, okay? So that's our front view. Now we want to create, we can do the right side view or the top, but I like kind of doing the top, so we're gonna go straight up. Now, because we have this already here and we know that we're going to have to put all of our elements in line, okay? We could do construction lines if we wanted to. Or if you remember, we have those snapping reference lines that we can use as well. And I kind of like doing that. We'll get a chance to use construction lines when we create our auxiliary view, but right now I think we can get by with these snapping lines. So I'm going to click on my line command. I'm going to hover over the left-hand side here, and I'm going to go straight up, and I don't know, right about here-ish, okay? I'm going to click. Now, make sure your ortho is on, okay? Because we need these all horizontal and vertical. And I have a choice. I know that this is 3 inches wide, so I could key in 3 inches right here, which I think is the easiest. Or you can activate the other corner and then bring this up, and it's going to snap there as well, okay? Then I'm going to go back. If I look back at my, if I look back here, this is going to be that line going up. That's going to be 3 inches long. Back to AutoCAD here. This is going to be 3, so I key in that one. Then I'm going to come back. I'm going to hover back over. You can either key in 3 or you can activate that corner. And then you can do C for close, because we have a closed loop here. All right. Then what we're going to add are going to be the 2 feet. So I'm going to have a line here, an edge for my base, and that's going to be, this is 3 inches wide. This is 2 left over. So we have to assume it's even on either side. They don't give us that dimension, but a good assumption there would be that it would be 1/2 inch on both sides. So going back over here, we are going to do that offset command. A distance, actually 0.5 was my last one, so I can just hit enter. I'm going to select that bottom line and go up. And then I'm going to select the top line and go down because they're both the same distance. Okay. All right. So those are the 2 feet. And then we have 2 more edges that we need to add, and that's going to be the edge at the very top of the flat on the part and the other side. So I'm going to use my line command, activate that corner, don't click on it, and then I'm going to go up, but I'm going to not click until the second line. So I'm going to click here, and then I'm going to click there. So only on the inside portion, because if we look back, it's just this top part. These feet are kind of on the outside, okay? So those edges are only on the inside. So going back and doing the other one, line, activate that corner, go up, up, up to the second set of lines, and then the next. Okay. So those are kind of like all my edges for that top view. Would you agree? That looks good. All right. So then now we're gonna do our right side view. Oh, you're here. Hello. Okay, we're gonna take a break. Yes, hold on 1 second. Okay, so now we're going to be ready to start looking at our side view, our right side view. So we're going to create the traditional right side view right over here. And I'm going to zoom in just a little bit, kind of pan up here. And now we're going to create that profile. Now, as we look, okay, I'm going to go back underneath here. This time we're going to be looking in this direction, okay? So the bottom line that we have here is going to be 3 inches. Then we're going to go up a 1/2 inch. And as we know before, even though this isn't labeled, this is going to be a 1/2 inch back in. Then we're going to go up to the top. Okay. Now, even though this is in this view, we're going to see this edge as a straight line, and that's going to be 2 inches above where we're at. Then we're going to come back over 2 inches, go back down, and then we're going to finish with the 1/2 inch, like little foot at the bottom there. So let's make sure that your snapping references are activated. I'm going to do my line command, and then I'm going to And here I'm going to just activate the bottom and I'm going to go straight over. Now, you don't have to worry about spacing being exactly the same value as it is between the top and the front view as the right side to the front view, because we aren't using a miter line to create this. If we were using a miter line, then that distance would have to be the same, okay? But we're not. So we're simply going to left click, and I'm going to go straight over. This is going to be 3 inches wide. I'm going to go up. Now, this distance is a 1/2 inch, so we can key it in, but it's also this edge right here. So you can grab it there and it'll click to it. We're going to go backwards a 1/2 inch. We're going to go up. Now, if you didn't want to put in the 2 inches, again, you can activate the top of the other view and then it'll snap to that. We're going to go back 2 inches, down again, you can activate it there or here. Okay, there we go. And then back 0.5, and then we can do a C for close or just connect to the bottom. Okay, so this is our perimeter of our right side view. Okay. Then what we want to do is we want to add in any additional edges. So over here, this horizontal line was the edge of our base feet. Okay. The next edge I'm going to kind of move up here is this one right in the front. Okay. So we are going to draw that. So it's going to be a line. I'm going to activate that line and I'm going to go over, and it's going to be between those upright 2 inch wide lines. Okay. Then our top is on top, but there is one edge in the back here. But if we look, we would have to look through material to get to that edge. So that means that that is a hidden line. Okay. So to do a hidden line, I need to change my layer to hidden. I'm going to go to the line command, activate that back corner, come across, and then I'm going to put a horizontal line in there. Okay. Okay. Now, we have everything in each one of these views except our hole. Okay. So what we need to do now is we're going to generate our auxiliary view so that we see our hole as its true size and shape. And we're going to first bring it back into our front view, and then we're going to put it up to our top and our right side views. Okay. Now, we are going to have to generate our auxiliary view right here. And we're going to have to bring these lines up and over. And as you can see, there's going to be some overlap. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to kind of zoom out, and I'm going to move my views kind of out of the way. Okay. So I'm going to make sure my ortho is on. I'm going to go up to the move command. Okay. And then I'm going to select my top view, which is going to be a click, click, upper left, lower right. Hit enter once you have it created. And then I always like to kind of just go on the outside. All I want to do is I want to do my base position and just go straight up and just kind of push it further away. That's it. If I grab on the actual part, sometimes then I click another, and I just like to do it so I can just do a clean line. Do the same thing over here. I'm going to do the move command. I'm going to select that right side view, enter, and then I'm just going to do a base position and go to the right. Okay. And now it clears up this space so I can create my auxiliary view. Okay. So let's take a peek underneath, but instead of looking at our example here, what I want to do is I want to just kind of show us our view and what we've kind of done here. So we've created the outline of the front view, the top view, and the right side view. And we just push this up and away, up and away. And now we're going to focus on creating that view. First and foremost, I'm going to focus on the part, the surface that hole is on and the hole itself. And I'm going to get those back into our views, and then we're going to complete the view after that. Okay. So this is where we're going to be using some construction lines. Okay. So going back to AutoCAD, I'm going to change my layer to construction. Okay. And then now what we're going to do is we're going to go underneath the draw command, and we're going to create a construction line. It's that third one over from the left. Okay. So I'm going to click on that. Now, what I want to do is I want to go to this edge right here, and I'm going to click. And now you'll notice I'm in ortho right now. So the only direction I can go is vertical or horizontal. So I'm going to take ortho off, but I'm going to put on my polar snaps. Now remember, this is snapping every 45 degrees, or it should. Oh, maybe not on construction lines. I don't think it. Oh, no, it does. Okay, good. I was a little afraid there. Notice that when you get to that 45-degree mark, and because this surface is at an angle of 45 degrees, this creates a 90-degree angle, if you would, construction line to that. So, so what we're going to do is we're simply going to left click along that line, and now we have a construction line there. Okay, that's out to infinity. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to do the same thing, oopsie, on our other angle or our other edge, which is down here. So I'm going to left click there, kind of go to that 45-degree angle, and then left click again, and then escape to end that. I'm only focusing on this area. And the reason I am, otherwise I'd be putting up all the other lines and it's just a lot to look at. So I want to focus on that surface and the hole to start. Okay, so then now what we want to do is we just want to create a line between here. Now I'm going to go back to my object line layer, and we're going to go to the drawing. Okay. So right now we're going to be looking down. We have a construction line for this one, and we have a construction line for this one. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to draw from one construction line perpendicular to the other, the object line between, and then we're going to draw a 2-inch line along the construction line, then back on the other side, and then we're going to close that loop. Okay. So we're going to go around that perimeter for the true size of that. So I'm going to start with my line, object line layer again, and I am just going to, you're going to notice that you should be able to click on that line as long as it's on the, or close to the construction line. And then we're going to go straight across so that it's perpendicular. Okay. I have, oh, actually it won't. We have to do shift right mouse button and do nearest for the second one because it doesn't know where we want to go. It doesn't know where to stop. So you have to do nearest. And then we're going to go along that line with your polar snaps on, and that needs to be 2 inches. So 2 for that. Then we're going to go back perpendicular. Okay. And then we're going to C close. All right. So now what you have is the perimeter of that surface that the hole is on. Did everybody get that? Did that make sense? Okay. Now to place that hole, go back underneath here. We're given the dimensions on our drawing here. We're given a dimension of 1 inch back from that back side and 1 inch up. Okay. So we want to use those same dimensions, but we're going to offset our outside to create that. Or we could do, no, we can't do snap from because it's not horizontal and it's not X and Y. So we do need to do offset. So I'm going to do an offset, and we're going to go 1 inch, and we're going to start on that back surface, the furthest one away, and we're going to go 1 inch into our part. Okay. Then we're going to go on the bottom. We're going to go 1 inch into our part. And that intersection is going to be where our circle is. Okay. That's the intersection where our circle is. So did I do that right? 1 inch and 1 inch. Now we're going to put our diameter of our circle, and this is going to be a circle center diameter. Okay. And we're going to go at the intersection of those two lines. We're going to click, and then our diameter is 1.5. Enter. Okay. All right. Now, the next thing I want to do is I'm going to change my layer to construction, okay? And I'm going to zoom in here, and I want to create a circle that's a little bit bigger than the circle that I just created, and you'll see why in just a second. So I'm going to do a circle center radius. I'm going to start at that intersection. So I'm going to do intersection up here, okay? And I'm going to go just beyond. So you see how I have just a little bit beyond. Okay. I'm going to click. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I already have these lines in here. I want to use them for my center lines. Okay. Because they're there already. So instead of deleting them out and putting center lines back in, I'm just going to change the layer that these two lines are on. Okay. So I'm going to click on one, click on the other. All right. This is just like They call it getting the grips or grabbing them per the grips. And all I'm going to do is go up to my layer and I'm going to go to the center line and I'm just going to click on that center layer. Okay. And then I'm going to hit escape to unselect those. Okay. I'm just going to click on it, left click, and then go up to my layers and I'm going to select center. So it changes the layer really easily. It's rather than having to delete them and put them back in, you can just change the layer that easily. But now, as you know, we can't have center lines going to the edge of a part and they just go beyond, a little bit beyond, in this case, the circle that they're the center marks for. So the reason I put that construction circle in there is so that I can trim my center lines to that construction circle. If you have to zoom in, go ahead and then zoom in here. There we go. Okay. And then we're just going to select that construction circle and delete it. And now I've got my center mark in there with the lines that were already there. But you'll notice something, right? What do you notice? It's not dashed, right? It's solid. So what can I do to correct that? We've done it a couple times. LT scale. Yeah, exactly. So what I'm going to do to start off with, if I just do a generic LT scale, it's going to change all of them. And sometimes that's fine. So I'm going to go down on my command line here. I'm just going to type in LT scale. Okay. And I'm going to change it from 1 to 0.5. That's always kind of like, I'm going to do it in half and see how that goes. Now, it looks good for my center mark, but it doesn't look great for my hidden lines. You see that? My hidden lines seem a little like close together. So I'm going to undo that. So I'm going to do U, enter, that's undo. And now instead, I'm going to select those two lines like I did before. I'm going to right click and go to properties. Now the line type scale is only going to be on those two lines as opposed to all the lines on the screen. So I'm going to go up to line type scale, which is a little bit down, and I'm going to change that one to 0.5 because that looked good. Notice by doing that, it only changed the line type scale for the two lines and not for my hidden lines. Okay, then I can just hit the X here. So again, you just simply select each one of those lines, right click, properties, and that's where you can change the line type scale for the individual lines. Okay, all right. So that's in place for us. Okay, so that looks good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this hole back down into my front view. Okay, so as you can imagine, even though the hole is here, I'm going to be looking through here. So the edges of this hole are going to be hidden going through our part. So I'm going to change my line, layer 2 hidden. And I'm going to zoom in here just a little bit. Now, I can't grab a quadrant because the quadrants are at 90, 180, 270, and 360 or 0. Okay. So that they're going to be up here, 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 and here. I need here and here, right, to go back down in. So instead, you have to make sure that you get the intersection over here. So if you have on your running object snaps, running object snaps, if you have intersection already on there, it should grab that intersection. If not, you might have to go up to your little toolbar or shift right mouse button. So I'm going to go to my line command. I'm going to activate that intersection. I'm going to click on it. And now I've got my polar tracking on. So it's going along with it. I'm going to stop at my line here. And then you have to go all the way in because you don't want to stop at the white line. You want to go beyond and go to the end of the part. There's a little bitty part there. Okay. And then hit escape. Okay. And then we're going to do the other side. Line, intersection. I'm going to stop at the top. And then I'm going to continue to the bottom. That one I don't have to zoom in on because there's nothing, there's not a little extra lines there. Okay, and the reason I stopped in both places because now instead of having to trim, I can just delete that top part of the line and it's gone. Okay, if I would have gone straight through, it would have been fine. You would have just done trim instead of a delete. Okay. Now I also want to put in here my center lines. So I'm going to go back to my layers, change back to center. I'm going to put my line and I'm going to activate the endpoint of the center line. Okay. And then I'm going to go down, down, down. Polar tracking is supposed to help me here. Activate that. Is it not going to? Well, what I'm going to do then is I'm going to create a line going right from that endpoint. Then the polar tracking kicks in rather than straight across. It seems like it does it when it's horizontal vertical, but maybe not at an angle. So then what I'm going to do is, now remember, my center line does not start and end at the part. It's going to start a little bit outside. So you can go there, but then back off. You want to be a little bit above the part. And then you want to go continue and go a little bit through. Okay. So then now I can get rid of that part of the line that I don't need. And now I have my center line in there just beyond the extents of the part. Okay. All right. So that center line is in. Now what I want to do is I'll go over to my right side view. So I want to pull that circle and I want to show it in my right side view. I'm going to bring my right side view back closer again, just because it's just going to be easier to work with and it's easy to do. I'm just going to do my move, select my view, left click, and just bring it back and make sure that you have your ortho on so it doesn't go out of projection. And I'll go right about there. Okay. Now I'm going to take construction lines and I need to bring over the lines for my hole, the top and the bottom. So I'm going to change back to my construction layer, go to my construction line. Come on. Are you on? Am I locked up? Hold on. Okay, let's try it again. Construction. Construction line. There we go. Now I grabbed it. So now I want to create a line, a construction line that's going to be from the top of where my construction lines goes through that surface. So I'm going to go here and I just want it to be horizontal. So make sure your ortho is on and left click again. So that's going to represent the top. Then I'm going to do that very same thing, not line, construction line. Okay. And I'm going to go through here and horizontal. I just want the top and the bottom of my my hole. Now, because this is in a foreshortened view, maybe that's not the right word for it, but it's going to create an ellipse here. Okay. So now I need to locate the center of that ellipse, and that center is going to be on the center line here. So we're going to pull a construction line for the center line as well. So I'm going to go to that center line and across. Okay. So you're going to have 1, 2, 3 construction lines in that right side view going horizontal. Okay, everybody there? The next thing I want to do is to make this easier, I'm going to trim off my construction lines so that they are not on either side of my part. Okay, so I'm going to do my trim. If you click and drag across all 3 with one motion, you can get rid of all 3 of them at once. And I'm going to do that on both sides. Okay. And I'm going to hit escape. Now you might be like, why did you do that? Well, here's why I did that. So I'm going to zoom in here and I'm going to start my ellipse. My ellipse is right to the right in the middle, just to the right of the arc command. Okay. I'm going to click on that. The first thing it's going to ask me, if you look at the command line, is where is the center? Now, if you have on your running object snaps, midpoint activated, which is the second one. I'm going to activate mine. Okay. Midpoint. Okay. You're going to go to the middle of that line-ish and you're going to find that it's going to snap to a triangle, a green triangle. That means that that's the midpoint of that line. If we had an extension line going all the way, there wouldn't be a midpoint. Okay. Because it's this way, they're the exact size or the exact middle of the width of that part. So I'm going to click on that midpoint. I'm going to turn off my ortho. And now I'm going to go straight up. Oh, you know what? Well, no big deal. We're going to keep going. I'm on the construction line layer, but we'll just switch it back in just a bit. I knew this was going to happen at least once. Now we're going to go to the midpoint of the top line and we're going to click. And now without clicking, move horizontally for a little bit. Do you see what happens? Okay. This dimension is going to be half of 1.5. This is going to be from the radius half of the diameter of that circle, which is 1.5. So we're going to put in 0.75. You're going to move horizontally. Okay. 0.75. And now it just created, I just want to click on it for a second. Yeah. It created an ellipse for us. Now, I didn't change my line type. It's a construction line. But as we know, all we have to do is click on it, activate that ellipse, and I'm simply going to put it on the object layer. Okay, easy peasy to change layers if you need to. You don't have to redraw. Okay. All right, so now this is in place for me. Now, if we look, this hole is going straight through. Okay, so that means that it's going to extend down to the bottom, but it's going to stop. And at this part right here, it's going to create another ellipse, kind of a hole looking view. So what we need to do is we need to create our ellipse down here. Okay, now to do that, we need to know where the top of the ellipse would be. And that's going to be this little corner right here. Okay, that little corner at the bottom of my front view. So I'm going to go out. It's this little corner right here. So I'm going to go, I'm on my construction line, or my construction layer, so I can leave that there. I'm going to draw a construction line through the intersection right here, horizontally. So I'm going to put ortho back on, and there it is. Okay. So that's my construction line. So what that is the top of the ellipse I'm going to create in this view. Okay. The bottom of the ellipse, the center line is at the bottom of the part. Okay. So I'm going to go back to, I'll put my, this is going to be a hidden feature because it's material and it would be a hidden ellipse. And now I'm going to go to my ellipse command. Now the center of my ellipse this time, I don't have the lines in there, but it's going to be in the middle of my part. So I can grab the midpoint of that bottom line. And then I'm going to go straight up for the height of it. And then I'm going to go horizontal 0.75. Okay, same size. So you're going to have part of the ellipse on the, underneath the part, and then the upper part inside of the part. Now to connect these, we're simply going to stay on your hidden line layer. We're going to do a straight line from one quadrant to the other, straight down, and then another line, one quadrant to the other. And then the part of the ellipse that is outside of the part, we're simply going to trim away. Okay. And there it is. Okay. So that is the right side view with the hole. Okay. Questions so far? Does that make sense? All right. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do this very same thing, but now we're going to put it into our top view. So I'm going to bring my top view a little bit closer. So I'm going to do my move command, click on my top view, enter, and then I'm just going to bring it down closer so that when I kind of zoom in and out here, it's good. Now, something I'm going to do, and this is a personal preference too. Yes, we can turn construction lines on and off, but sometimes it starts to get to be a lot of construction lines to look at. So I like to delete when I don't need them anymore. So I don't need these horizontal construction lines anymore. I'm simply going to delete all of the ones that are horizontal. Okay. And then I'm also going to get rid of this vertical one here. I don't know why I had one in there. Okay. So, so now I'm going to put my lines going straight up. So I'm going to use this front one right here, and I'm going to put on my construction line layer, and I'm going to do vertical lines now going straight up. So make sure that your ortho is on, and it's just on the circle though, just on the circle and its center line. So the circle edge, the center line, and then it's going to be the other circle edge. Okay. All the other surfaces are in there already. Now, when I look straight down on my part from the top, okay, when I look straight down, go like this, straight down, I am going to see this ellipse as a visible line. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my object line layers. Okay. And I'm going to bring this down here. object line layer. And then I'm also going to do what I did earlier is I'm going to trim off the edges. So I only want this part in between here. Okay. So I'm just going to trim off the 3 here and the 3 here. Okay. So that I just have them on the inside. Okay. That allows for me to have those midpoints again for the centers. So now I'm going to go to my ellipse command just to the right of arc. And I'm going to start in the middle one at the midpoint. I'm going to go up to or to the right, and then I'm going to go up. And I don't want it to grab that edge, so I'm going to key in 0.75 again. So it's the width, it's the radius of the 1.5. Okay, so you should have, if you would, kind of a vertical egg here. Okay. Now, if I remember correctly. Then, as I look at the top here, you're going to notice that this is, if we look here, this is going to go through the part here, but this stops at this point right here. Okay. So this is going to be another construction line that we put up, and then another center line that we put up to create then the top of our at the top of our ellipse here. Okay. We might be able to do this. Actually, let me do it another way. Rid of this one. And let me just get rid of a couple of our construction lines because I want to make sure that I have the right ones here. So I'm going to get rid of these construction lines that I just used. I just deleted them. And what I want to do is I want to get the construction line for this edge on the bottom. Okay. And I think that's it. I think that's it. So just want to be sure. So I'm going to go back to my construction line layer. And I'm going to do my construction line going straight up at the intersection of this bottom portion. Okay. And we're going to go straight up. Okay. And now what we're going to do is we are going to have another ellipse. Now, this ellipse is going to be the exact same size as the one that we have here. Okay. Let's look back at and underneath, and you'll kind of see what this construction looks like. So we're going to have this ellipse right here, okay? And it's going to be hidden, but it's the same size, except we don't show the other side of it here. So what I thought we could do is we can simply copy this ellipse from right here to that intersection with our construction line, and then we're going to change this one to a hidden line layer. Does that make sense? Okay. You could do it, construct the ellipse, separately, but this is just another way to use some of the commands that we have here. So I'm going to go up to the copy command just below move. I'm going to click on that ellipse, enter. I'm going to grab the quadrant on the right, and then I'm going to go perpendicular to that construction line and then hit escape. I just want the one. And right away, I'm going to click on that new ellipse I just created to activate it. And I'm going to put it on the hidden line layer. Okay, hidden line layer. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put our horizontal lines to go back so that it exits out the part. So I'm going to go back on my hidden line layer, line at the quadrant of my visible one, and I'm going to go all the way to the end, perpendicular to the left side. Then I'm going to do that same thing at the bottom quadrant, all the way to the left. Okay. And now, because this is open at the bottom, okay, this is open at the bottom here, all right, that means that up here, this right or this left side of my ellipse is not in there. So we're going to trim that away. So I'm going to trim the ellipse, but there's more. It's going to trim back to that line. We have to trim back to the hidden line, okay? I'm going to be checking that on your drawing. So if you're moving ahead and you don't do this, you're going to miss that, okay? And that completes that view. Okay. Now, I have not saved once yet. I don't know if you guys have. It's a good time to do that. I'm going to do a file, save as, and this is the AngleBase. See, I better go to where I normally go to, which is going to be my OneDrive. Mechanical design. Okay, so that is there. We're not done though. We have more to do. Okay. Since we have our ellipses in place, and I am going to get rid of that vertical construction line and just have the two that we had from earlier for our auxiliary view. Now what I want to do is just add the center lines into our top and our front views. Okay, so I'm going to go to my center line layer. I'm going to zoom in and I am going to find the midpoint here, but I'm not going to click on it. Then I'm going to back off and I'll go from here and then through the part a little bit. Okay, because remember, we can't be on, you know, the edge of something with a center line. Okay, and I do have my break in there, so that looks good. Then I'm going to go down to my front view and do that same thing. Find the midpoint, don't click on it, but then back off a little bit and then go straight down and through. Okay, so there's my center line for that. I'm going to get rid of those construction lines here too, just so I don't end up forgetting them. Okay, and again, they can be turned off, but I'm just going to kind of clean up the views here. Okay, so now the last task that I have to do is to pull the rest of the view up into my auxiliary view. So the perimeter, if you would, of the parts, which does mean that I'm going to remove my top view to be further away again, because otherwise it's going to interfere. And the same thing with my right side view. I'm going to move that away again. The beauty of CAD is we can kind of move things and they're easy to put back. Okay, so now we're going to focus here on generating the rest of the view. So I am going to add in some more construction lines for the edges that we see here. So I'm going to go back to my construction line layer. I'm going to go to the construction line command and make sure that your polar snaps is on. And I'm going to go to that edge and I'm just going to go up and along there, enter. And then I'm going to go to the next edge and up. And then I'm going to go back here, but you have to get this visible edge. Make sure you get the right line up. Okay, that one. And then we have the last one is this edge. So if we look at our part, back underneath here, we're going to be looking down here. All right. So we're going to have a little bit of an area here that we're going to come down. We're going to go out and then back down. And then this is going to be a width of 3, then back up a distance. It's not going to be a 1/2 inch because it's foreshortened. Then we're going to come back in a 1/2 inch. And then that's going to be the side of the part. So we're going to create that area right now. So let me go back to AutoCAD here. So we're going to start on this corner right here, and we're going to go perpendicular down. Okay. So let me go here to, oops, before I do, let's put the right line layer on. So put your object line layer on. We're going to grab this right here, and we're going to go straight down or perpendicular to the construction line. And we're going to go down along here, along the construction line, and that is going to be 0.5 wide. Okay. And then we're going to go down perpendicular. Okay. And then along our construction line, it's going to be 3 wide. Okay, that's the width. And then back up perpendicular here. Then we're going to go in line, would be a 1/2 inch, but in line, if you want to do that, do it that way. 0.5. And then we're going to go back up to that edge. Okay. Now, if we look, we do not put the line in between here because this is like a flush area, or it's like nice and smooth in the front area there. So we would not connect these two. This is just a flat surface, okay? So that area, this line right here does not get connected, okay? All right, now what we need to do is we know that these feet are going to go all the way back to this point right here, right? Okay, so that construction line, we're going to take our object line, we're going to go on the end point of one of the feet, and then we've got to go perpendicular up to this line right here, okay? And then we're going to go perpendicular to the side of the part, and it stops there because the feet are only that wide, okay? Now we're going to do that same thing on the back side. We're going to go grab that corner, go perpendicular, and then into the part. Okay. And then we have this edge right here. Okay, now this edge, that part of the part is only as wide as that middle 2-inch section. So we're going to go line, go to this corner, go perpendicular to that surface, the top of the part, and then we're going to go, oh, that's 2 inches along there, so I can just put in 2, and then back to the top there. There we go. Now, there's one other line that's in here that we didn't do quite yet. If I go back to my construction line layer, it's this little edge on the very back of our part, okay, that runs the entire length. So I'm going to do a construction line. I'm going to grab that one back in there. I missed it when we did it originally. Now, this line is going to be a hidden line on that back surface, okay? So I'm going to go to my hidden line layer, and I'm going to start my line on the outside, the full outside, so it goes the full 3 inches, but then I'm going to go to the circle, okay? Because the circle removes this material in that area back there. Do you see that? Okay, when it goes through. So then I'm going to continue, I'm going to start a new line at the intersection of the circle to the back edge, okay? There we go. That is a mistake on my drawing guide. When I was looking at it earlier, I'm like, wait a second, that doesn't go through there. So go back underneath here. Come on. This line right here should not go through the circle because when the circle goes through, it removes that material. It's like gone, okay, on that back edge. So we only see it on either side of that circle, okay? All right. So now we've completed all the construction, okay? So first things first, we want to get rid of our construction lines, okay? And you could delete them if you wanted to, because I've been deleting the ones that I don't need along the way, but you can also go in here and just turn them off with that little light bulb in front of the construction layer. Make sure your construction layer isn't current. Otherwise, it won't let you do that, okay? You have to be current with a different layer to be able to turn off another layer, okay? So then now what we want to do is we want to pull these views so that it kind of makes sense for where they're going to be. So I am going to move my auxiliary view out so I can pull my top and my right side in. So I'm going to do move, and I'm just going to select my auxiliary view. Make sure that your polar tracking is on so you can go along that 45-degree angle, okay? Because you want to keep that in projection. Then we're going to move our top view just straight down. Okay, make sure that ortho is on. And then we're going to move our right side view in. Okay, so something like that-ish. Okay, so don't have those separated out. Make sure you pull them in. And then now we're going to do a final save, right? And then I've been noticing, and I want everybody's attention right now because I've been noticing this when you guys hand in things as a PDF. I want to show you again how to hand these in so that they're not different directions or a lot of white space. I want you to window around the part. So I'm going to show you how to do that right now. Please don't click. Everybody watch, okay? So I'm going to go up to File. I'm going to go down to Plot. And when it comes into plot here, I am going, you don't have to put page setup here. You can just say none, but I'm going to go to my plotter and I want to go to an AutoCAD PDF. Okay. AutoCAD PDF. If you do Adobe, you have to have the Adobe on your machine. That's the only thing. And not everybody does, but the AutoCAD PDF is going to be specific to AutoCAD. Make sure you go down here for plot area. Okay. Plot area. Arrow down and go to window. I think a lot of people are leaving display and I'm getting a lot of white space around. Okay. You have to window around your views. Okay. So you're going to go up here, upper left-hand corner. It's a click, click, not a click and drag, and around the part. Okay. This way you have it, you have the paper is going to be filled. Make sure that your plot scale is fit to paper. Okay. And make sure your paper size is an 8.5 by 11. Nobody should be clicking. Gosh. Then you're going to preview. Preview. Don't forget to preview. Everybody's going to preview, right? We're going to preview. We're going to preview so that we can see that everything is on here. Okay. If you don't preview, then part of it, if you don't have fit to scale, part of it's only going to be there. If you did display, it's going to be like tipped a weird way and there's going to be a lot of white space. Please preview so that you see it the way the views are that you windowed around, okay? Once you do that, you can hit the X up here and then you're going to hit OK. At that point, you're going to have the opportunity to navigate to a directory that you then can go back to when you upload it to the assignment, to the Module 4 practice problems. Okay. So then you're going to navigate. You're basically saving the PDF somewhere. Okay. I'm not going to save mine because I'm not going to upload it. But does everybody understand that? So you have to window around. Can I just do a cancel here? You have to window around. Don't leave it as display. And you also have to make sure that it fits to the paper. And then please preview. All right. I'm going to start taking points off if they're not like that. Okay. I think that's fair. All right. Because I don't like going like this, and trying to zoom in to see things. If they're like this, I can see everything that I need to. Okay. All right. I appreciate that. Okay. So are there any questions on the AngleBase? Okay. Now, you would be ready then. If we go back to our practice problems, you now have both practice problem demos, if you would, that you now can upload to the Module 4 practice problems. Okay. So this is worth 20 points because there are 2 of them, 10 points each. And now just make sure that you have both of those uploaded. Okay. Any questions? Okay. So I am going to stop the recording.